You ever just get that feeling in your gut like you know something's about to go sideways? Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when my mom called me last Thursday. Hey, sweetie, guess what? We're doing another family vacation this year. Isn't that exciting? Exciting? Oh, sure, Mom. Oh, wow, a family trip? That's cool, I replied, keeping my voice neutral while already feeling the headache forming. I could practically hear the grin on her face over the phone. Yes, your dad and I were thinking it would be great to spend some quality time together. You know, all of us at the beach again. The boys loved it last time. Of course, she meant my nephews. My sister Rachel's three little monsters, Jake, Evan, and Danny. Don't get me wrong, I love those kids when they're not climbing on my head or screaming about Fortnite or spilling Slurpees in my car. But last summer, that was a whole new level of hell. See, I was tricked, bamboozled, hoodwinked. Mom and Dad offered to pay for my trifotel room included. The catch? They conveniently forgot to mention I'd be sharing that room with the kids. Rachel and her husband Mike got their own nice, quiet suite, while I was stuck with three hyperactive gremlins bouncing off the walls. Every time I tried to do something I wanted, Rachel would magically disappear, leaving me to wrangle her kids. You're so good with them, she'd say. Thanks, but I was hoping to go check out the art gallery, I'd reply. Oh, they're just kids. Come on, it's family time. You're always off doing your own thing. And then she'd be gone for hours. The gallery trip lasted all of 15 minutes because the boys whined the whole time. Apparently, looking at paintings isn't as fun as drowning each other in the hotel pool. So yeah, the moment Mom brought up another family vacation, my fight or flight kicked in. Wow. That's nice. I managed to say, hoping she couldn't hear the sheer lack of enthusiasm in my voice. Oh, come on, you'll love it. Everyone's going again, Rachel, Mike, the kids. We'll have such a blast. And this time, we're staying at that new beach resort with the lazy river. Doesn't that sound fun? Fun, right? I had flashbacks of Danny throwing up on my shoes after eating 5 churros last year. Fun indeed. Yeah, sounds cool. When were you thinking of going? June, the first weekend. We'll leave on Friday and come back Tuesday. Oh, and Rachel was asking if you could help out with the boys again. You know, just to give her and Mike a little break. There it was. The bomb had been dropped. I sighed and pinched the bridge of my nose. I knew it. I freaking knew it. They were setting me up again. Help out how, exactly? Oh, you know, Mom said casually. Just keep an eye on them here and there. Rachel said they've been a handful lately, and she's been really stressed. It'd mean a lot if you could pitch in. Pitch in. That's code for become the full-time babysitter while the adults enjoy mojitos. Mom, I'm just gonna be real with you for a second. Last year, I barely got to do anything I wanted. I ended up babysitting the whole time. It wasn't exactly relaxing. There was a long pause on the other end. I could tell she was trying to come up with a response that wouldn't make me bolt. Sweetie, I know last year wasn't perfect, but that's just because things got a little hectic. This time will be different, I promise. You'll have your own room. Probably, and I'm sure Rachel won't expect too much from you. Probably, oh hell no. I'm not so sure about that. Rachel has this habit of accidentally disappearing when it's her turn to watch the kids. I'm not going through that again. Come on, honey. Family's important. Don't you want to spend time with your nephews? They adore you. God, the guilt trip was coming in hot. Classic mom move. But I wasn't about to cave this time. I do love them, but I'd also like to actually relax on my vacation. Maybe hit the beach, sleep in, normal adult stuff. Not chase 3 kids around all day. Mom sighed. Okay. I'll talk to Rachel. We'll figure something out. Just think about it, all right? It's been a rough year for everyone, and this could be a nice way to unwind. I'll think about it. I lied. What I really meant was, I'm already thinking of how to say no without causing World War I too. After hanging up, I tossed my phone on the couch and stared at the ceiling. Maybe I was being dramatic, but I could already see the whole thing playing out again. Rachel would promise not to dump the kids on me, then conveniently forget that promise the second we arrived. I'd be stuck babysitting while everyone else got to actually enjoy themselves. The thing is, I've been working my ass off all year. I deserve a real break. Not this guilt-laden, kid-infested nightmare masquerading as a vacation. A notification buzzed on my phone. It was a text from Rachel. Rachel. Hey, heard about the trip. Can't wait to see you. The boys have been asking about Uncle You. Maybe you can take them to the water park when we're there? I groaned. Of course. Me? Hey. Yeah, we'll see. Not sure what my plans are yet. She left me on red. I'm sure she was already scheming ways to rope me in. I sighed and pulled up my calendar. If I was going to survive this vacation, I needed a plan and
2 days
boundaries.
later, the family group
Lots
chat blew
and
up,
lots of boundaries. And I knew exactly why. Rachel had made her move. Rachel,
So excited for the trip. Just a heads up, Mike and I were hoping to have a little alone time on Saturday night. Would you mind watching the boys for a couple of hours? When I, by
A couple of hours. Yeah, right. I knew how this went. A couple of hours would magically turn into an entire evening, followed by Rachel needing a break the next morning because she was too tired to deal with her kids. It was deja vu on steroids. Before I could even respond, Mom jumped in like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Mom, that's a great idea. It'll give you some time to bond with the kids. You're always so good with them. Dad, plus Rachel and Mike could really use the break. Parenting's tough. Of course, the pressure cooker had been officially turned on. Rachel didn't even need to push Mom and Dad were doing all the work for her, laying down that sweet layer of guilt like pros. It was like watching a tag team match. I started typing but then stopped. I had to phrase this right or else they'd keep piling on. I don't know. I was kind of planning to do my own thing on Saturday. I thought that might slow them down, but nope. Mom, oh sweetie, you'll have plenty of time to relax. It's just one night. Rachel, seriously, it'd mean the world to us. Mike's been stressed at work and I've been dealing with the boys nonstop. Just a couple of hours, I swear. Dad, you know how much the kids look up to you. It's good for them to spend time with family. Good for them, huh? What about what was good for me? I clenched my jaw, feeling the invisible noose tightening around my neck. It was like being surrounded by emotional landmines. If I said no, I'd be labeled selfish, the bad sibling who couldn't even help his own sister. But if I said yes, I'd be right back in the same babysitting trap I fell into last year. Before I could even think of a response, Rachel upped the ante with a direct message. This one wasn't nearly as sweet as the group chat post. Rachel, look, I'm not trying to be difficult, but seriously, I'm exhausted. It's just for a night. You're single with no responsibilities. You can handle a couple of kids for a few hours. I really need this. Ah, the classic, you have no responsibilities guilt hammer. I could practically see her face those wide eyes and raised eyebrows like she'd just said something profound. I took a deep breath, letting the irritation sink in before replying. I'm not your built-in babysitter. I'm coming on this trip to relax too. I'll help out here and there, but I'm not signing up for any shifts. I'm serious, Rach. Rachel, wow, okay, fine. Forget I asked. There it was, the passive-aggressive response. Oh, great, now I was the bad guy. I sat back and stared at my phone. The guilt was heavy, pressing against my chest like a weight, but it wasn't enough to make me cave. I'd spent last summer running on fumes while everyone else had a blast. I wasn't doing that again. If they wanted to call me selfish, let them. They'll get over it, I muttered to myself, setting the phone on the table. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over yet. This family had a way of keeping the pressure on until you cracked. Later that evening, I got a call from Dad. He didn't even bother with small talk. Hey, sport. Listen, your mom was telling me about the group chat earlier. You know, I get it in 2014. You want to relax in 2014, but can't you help out just a little? Rachel's going through a lot right now. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Here we go. Dad, it's not just a little help. I end up watching the boys the entire time while everyone else gets to relax. It's not fair. I want to enjoy the vacation too. Well, sure, but family's about compromise. Rachel's your sister. And those boys love you. They look up to you. I know, and I love them too, but I also don't want to be stuck in a hotel room while you guys are out having fun. I deserve a break too. There was a pause. I could tell Dad wasn't used to me pushing back like this. Usually I'd cave by now. All right, he said slowly. But don't you think you're being a little hard on your sister? You're not a parent. You don't know how exhausting it is. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. No, I'm not a parent. That's kind of the point. I shouldn't be expected to play that role on my vacation. Okay, I hear you. We'll talk about it more when we get there, Dad finally said, clearly not happy with my answer. I hung up, shaking my head. Talking about it more meant they were going to keep pushing until I either gave in or completely lost my cool. The next morning, I got another text from Rachel. Rachel, hey, I know I was kinda snippy yesterday. Sorry. I just really need a break. The boys have been driving me nuts. I didn't respond right away. I knew what this was in 2014, another attempt to guilt me into agreeing. If I replied now, it'd turn into a whole conversation about how hard her life was. Instead, I put my phone on silent and went for a walk. I needed to clear my head before this whole thing drove me insane. By the time I got back, there were 3 more messages waiting for me. Rachel, are you mad at me? Rachel, look, I get that you want to relax, but can't we meet halfway? Mom, Rachel told me you're still upset. Sweetie, don't let this ruin the trip. Family is what matters most. I rolled my eyes. Of course, Mom was getting involved again. It was like they couldn't handle me setting a boundary without making it into a full-blown drama. I typed out a quick response to both of them. I'm not mad. I just need to have my own space on this trip. I'll help out a bit, but I'm not going to be on kid duty the whole time. Rachel didn't reply. Mom sent back a thumbs up emoji. It wasn't much, but maybe 2014, just maybe 2014, they were finally starting. I finally had enough and drew a firm line in the sand. It started with another phone call from Mom. This time, she wasn't using the overly cheerful tone. No, this was her, "I'm disappointed but trying to stay calm" voice. "Sweetie, I talked to your sister. She's really upset. I think you might be blowing this out of proportion." "Mom, I'm not blowing anything out of proportion," I shot back, keeping my tone steady. "I just don't want to spend the whole trip babysitting. That's it." "Well, it's not like you'd be babysitting the entire time," she said. "You're acting like we're asking you to sacrifice your whole vacation. It's just a few hours here and there." Yeah, and last year that few hours turned into all day every day. Rachel vanished whenever it was her turn to watch the boys. I missed everything I wanted to do. "You could have spoken up," she countered, a little defensively. "Mom, I did speak up. I got guilt-tripped into just going along with it. Rachel made me feel like crap for wanting to do literally one thing I enjoyed." There was a pause. I could hear her sigh softly, probably realizing I wasn't backing down this time. But instead of admitting I had a point, she pivoted. "Rachel's under a lot of stress, you know. It's hard being a mom of 3, especially with Mike working long hours." I let out a dry laugh. "Oh, I get that she's stressed, but why does her stress mean I have to give up my vacation? I work hard too, Mom. I deserve to relax." "Of course you do, honey," she said in a tone that clearly meant you're not getting it. "But family helps family. That's how it works. Helping is one thing, being taken advantage of is another. I'm not doing that again." Another silence. I could practically hear her trying to think of a way to phrase her next guilt trip. Before she could speak, Rachel must have caught wind of the conversation, because she called me not even 5 minutes later. I almost didn't answer, but I knew avoiding her would just escalate things further, so I reluctantly picked up. "Hey," I said flatly. "Hey?" Rachel's voice was sharp, like she was already annoyed. "Is that all you have to say?" "I'm guessing you already talked to Mom," I replied. "Yeah, I did, and I can't believe you're making such a big deal out of this." "Rachel, I'm not making a big deal. I just want to break this year. Last time you disappeared half the time and left me with the kids." "Wow, seriously? You're acting like I abandoned them or something. You're their uncle. You should want to spend time with them. Spending time with them is fine. Being their babysitter so you and Mike can have alone time every day isn't." She let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, so now I'm the bad guy for wanting a couple of hours to myself? God, I didn't realize you were so selfish." That word hit like a slap. Selfish. Really? Selfish? I repeated, my voice rising. "Are you kidding me right now? I busted my ass last year making sure your kids didn't drown or destroy the hotel room, and now I'm selfish because I don't want a repeat of that? You always act like you're the only one with problems," she snapped. "You don't know what it's like raising 3 boys. You have no responsibilities. You're single, no kids, no spouse. Must be nice to just think about yourself all the time." I was seeing red now. "Oh, I'm sorry that I worked my ass off to get where I am. Just because I'm not married with kids doesn't mean my time isn't valuable. You don't get to treat me like your free babysitter." Her tone shifted from angry to condescending. "You're really blowing this out of proportion. It's just one night." "It's never just one night with you, Rachel. It's always just a little help. And then suddenly I'm stuck with the boys all weekend. I'm not doing it this time." "Fine," she spat. "Don't bother coming then. If you're going to be such a drama queen about it, maybe we're better off without you." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "Oh, so now I'm not even welcome? Great family dynamic we've got going here." "You said it, not me," she shot back. "God, I don't even know why I bother." "Yeah, me neither." I hung up before she could say anything else. My heart was pounding, and I had to take a deep breath to calm down. I hated fighting with her, but this had been building up for years. Every time there was a family event, I got stuck in the same role. The helper, the babysitter, the guy who never got to just enjoy himself. I slumped onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom. "Mom, Rachel just called me. She's really upset. Can't you two just talk this out?" Number not right now. Not when I was still fuming. I ignored the message and got up to grab a beer from the fridge. As I popped the cap off, I replayed the conversation in my head, feeling the anger simmer beneath the surface. Why did Rachel always pull this crap? And why did Mom and Dad always take her side, like her problems were more important than mine? I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being unreasonable. I just wanted a damn vacation where I wasn't on duty 24/7. Was that really too much to ask? Later that night, Dad called. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but figured I might as well rip off the bandage. "Hey, sport," he said using his usual calm dad voice. "What's going on with you and Rachel?" I sighed. "We had a fight. She thinks I'm being selfish for not wanting to babysit all weekend." "Ah, I see. Well, you know your sister, she gets worked up sometimes. But maybe there's a compromise here?" Dad, there's no compromise. Every time I compromise, I end up sacrificing my whole trip. I'm tired of it. Well, maybe if you two just talk it out. I tried. She called me selfish and basically told me not to come. Dad sighed. Look, I get it. You want your space. But family's important. Don't let this ruin things. I rolled my eyes. Family is important. That's why I'm still coming. But I'm not backing down on this, Dad. I deserve a break too. All right, all right. Let's just take it one step at a time. Try to get some rest. Yeah, you too. We hung up, and I set the phone aside. The guilt lingered, but I wasn't going to budge. I woke up to another round of family drama lighting up my phone. Messages from both Mom and Rachel clogged the group chat. I didn't even bother opening them right away. I needed coffee and a clear head to deal with this nonsense. By the time I sat down with my mug, I'd gotten another notification this time, a missed call from Dad. Perfect. Now the whole family was rallying to fix me, aka pressure me into giving up and doing what they wanted. Not happening. I scrolled through the group chat. It was basically more of the same. Mom, we're all family. We shouldn't be fighting like this. Rachel, you really need to stop being so difficult. We just want a nice trip. Mom, can you please just try to meet Rachel halfway? She's under a lot of stress. Yeah, and I wasn't? What about the year I'd spent working overtime and barely taking a single day off? Why did no one care that I was stressed? Before I could think too much about it, Mom called. I sighed and reluctantly answered. Morning, Mom, I said flatly. Good morning, honey, she replied, her voice overly soft like she was trying to keep me from snapping. Look, I know things have been tense, but I really think we can work this out. Rachel feels really hurt by what you said. Hurt? I let out a short laugh. She called me selfish, Mom, because I don't want to spend my vacation babysitting. Well, I think she just said that out of frustration, Mom reasoned. You know she's under a lot of pressure. You didn't have to be so harsh. Harsh? Seriously? Mom, all I said was I want to enjoy my trip without getting stuck watching the kids. That's not harsh, it's called having boundaries. Sweetie, I understand that, she said, but I could hear the but coming. But you know how your sister is. She needs support. Couldn't you just help her a little and then do your own thing? No, I said firmly. Not this time. I'm not going on this trip to be Rachel's free babysitter. If that's what you all expect, then I won't go at all. The line went quiet for a moment. Mom was probably trying to process the fact that I wasn't budging. You don't mean that, she finally said. I do, I replied. Look, here's the deal. I'll come on the trip, but I'm driving myself. I'm booking my own hotel room. That way, if Rachel tries to pull the same crap as last year, I can just walk away. I'm not staying trapped with the kids again. But that's not how family trips work, she argued weakly. We're supposed to be together. We can be together, I shot back. But on my terms this time, I'm not doing the whole ride with us, stay where we put you, and watch the kids all day thing. I'm paying my own way so I can actually relax. Is that really necessary? She asked, her voice tinged with disappointment. Yes, I said simply. It's necessary. There was a long silence on the other end. I could tell she didn't know what to say. This was probably the first time I'd ever stood up for myself this strongly when it came to family plans. Normally, I'd cave and go along with everything just to avoid conflict. But not this time. I'd had enough. Okay, Mom finally said, sounding defeated. If that's what you want to do. It is, I confirmed. I'll see you guys at the resort. About an hour later, Rachel called. I almost ignored it, but I knew it was better to get this over with. What now, Rach? I said as soon as I picked up. Oh, nice. Real warm greeting, she replied sarcastically. Look, Mom told me about your little plan. What's your deal? My deal is that I'm not spending another vacation being your babysitter, I said bluntly. I'm driving myself and booking my own room. End of story. You're seriously going to waste money just to avoid staying with us? She asked, incredulous. Yep, I said. Consider it an investment in my sanity. She scoffed. Wow. You really think you're too good to spend time with your own family? Don't start with that, I warned. This has nothing to do with thinking I'm too good. It has everything to do with me wanting a vacation where I can actually relax. You can't just expect me to drop everything and take care of your kids the whole time. Rachel was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer but still defensive. I just thought you'd understand. I've been so overwhelmed lately. And I get that. I cut in. But I've been overwhelmed too. I'm not saying I won't spend time with the kids. I'm just saying it's going to be on my schedule, not yours. So what? You're just going to hide in your hotel room the whole time, she muttered bitterly. No, Rachel, I'll be around. But if you try to dump the boys on me, I'm out. Simple as that. She sighed loudly. Fine. Whatever. Do what you want. I plan to, I said, then ended the call before she could throw any more guilt my way. For the rest of the day, things were oddly quiet. No more messages, no more calls. I figured they were all regrouping, trying to figure out how to handle this new version of me, the one who didn't just roll over and play babysitter. By evening, Dad finally texted me. Dad, your mom says you're serious about booking your own room. You sure about that? Me. Yep. Already looking at hotels. Dad. All right. Just don't let this ruin the trip, okay? I rolled my eyes. Why was it always on me to not ruin things? Still, I kept my reply short. Me. Don't worry. I'll be fine. I would be fine because this time I was setting the rules. No more getting guilt-tripped into sacrificing my vacation. They'd either respect my boundaries or deal with the consequences. It didn't take long for things to get awkward. I pulled into the parking lot about 30 minutes ahead of the rest of the family, checked in, and made sure the hotel staff knew not to give my room information to anyone else. The front desk clerk gave me a polite but slightly puzzled look as I explained, but they nodded and reassured me. Family drama, I muttered by way of explanation. Got it, the clerk said with a knowing smile. Happens more often than you'd think. With my room key in hand, I headed up, dropped my bags, and took a few deep breaths. The silence was blissful. No yelling kids, no immediate demands for attention. Just peace. Exactly what I wanted. About an hour later, I got a text from Mom. Mom, we just got here. Where are you? Me, in my room. I'll meet you guys downstairs in a bit. I took my time freshening up before heading to the hotel lobby. When I walked in, I spotted the whole crew near the check-in desk. Rachel's boys were already arguing over probably whose turn it was to play on the iPad. Mike was standing off to the side, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Rachel noticed me first. There he is, she said, her voice laced with thinly veiled irritation. The man of the hour. Hey, everyone, I greeted casually. I kept my tone light, acting like nothing was wrong. No way was I letting her guilt trip me again. Uncle you, Jake shouted, running up to me and practically tackling my leg. Evan and Danny followed suit, bombarding me with questions about whether I'd take them to the pool or the arcade. Whoa, slow down, guys, I said, laughing a little. We'll figure something out, okay? But I just got here too, so let's give it a minute. Rachel crossed her arms and gave me a pointed look. You're staying on a different floor, huh? Yep, I said simply. Needed some space. Of course you did, she muttered under her breath. Mike shot her a warning glance, and she sighed, rubbing her temple. Whatever. Let's just get through this trip without any more drama. I bit my tongue, resisting the urge to fire back. Progress. At least she wasn't openly fighting me about it anymore. The first couple of days went surprisingly smoothly. I stuck to my boundary of spending time with the family during meals and a few outings, but making it clear when I needed my own space. I went to the beach early in the mornings, before anyone else was awake, and spent hours lounging in peace. I even hit the hotel spa one afternoon, something I'd never been able to do on previous trips because I'd been too busy chasing after Rachel's kids. Of course, Rachel tried to test me once or twice. Hey, can you watch the boys for just a little bit? I need to run to the gift shop, she said on the second afternoon, casually as if it were no big deal. Nope, I replied immediately. I've got plans. She blinked at me, clearly caught off guard by how fast I shut it down. Seriously, it'll only be for like 20 minutes. Sorry, Rach. Maybe ask Mom or Dad, I said with a shrug. Her face tightened, but she didn't argue. Instead, she huffed and walked off, grumbling under her breath. Moments later, I saw her trying to pawn the kids off on our parents instead. By the third day, I think everyone finally got the message. Dad even pulled me aside at breakfast. You know, your mom and I were talking last night, he began, his tone cautious. We realize we probably haven't been fair to you on these trips. You've been doing more than your share. Wow, I said, genuinely surprised. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. Don't get me wrong, we still want you to be part of the family activities, he continued. But we get it. You deserve to enjoy yourself too. I appreciate that, I said sincerely. And I'm not trying to avoid the family. I just needed a break from all the babysitting. He nodded. Fair enough. Let's just try to have a good time, yeah? Yeah, I agreed, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Later that evening, we all went out to dinner at a seafood restaurant by the beach. The atmosphere was relaxed, and even Rachel seemed to be in a better mood. The kids were surprisingly well behaved, probably because they'd spent most of the day running around the pool and were too tired to cause much trouble. At one point, Rachel leaned over and quietly said, Okay, I'll admit it. Maybe I was being a little pushy before. I raised an eyebrow. A little? All right, Fanny a lot, she admitted, rolling her eyes. But you could have handled it better too. I chuckled. Maybe, but hey, at least we're both still here. She sighed and smiled faintly. Yeah, truce? Truce, I agreed, clinking my glass of iced tea against hers. By the time the trip ended, I actually felt refreshed. It was weird, having a family vacation that didn't leave me completely drained. I spent time with my nephews, sure, but it was on my terms playing with them at the pool when I felt like it, not because I was forced to. And when I needed a break, I took one without anyone making me feel guilty. As we packed up to leave, Mom gave me a hug and said, "I'm really glad you came. I think this trip was good for all of us." "Me too," I admitted. Rachel gave me a nod as she wrangled her boys into the SUV. "See you at Christmas?" "Yeah," I said with a grin. "But don't even think about asking me to babysit." She laughed, shaking her head. "No promises." As I drove away from the resort, I couldn't help but smile. For the first time in years, I'd gone on a family vacation and actually felt like I got a vacation out of it. Boundaries really were a game changer.